Hello, dear viewers. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'm glad I found a peaceful setting. Today, Elijah Cummings, the head of the Oversight Committee at the House of Representatives, he passed. He was only 68, and frankly, I think many in Washington are grief-stricken right now. Now, Elijah Cummings, I've mentioned him before because some of the things he said during Cohen's testimony and at other times just so powerful. Came from a very spiritual, very grounded, very strong place within him. And so I am sad to see him go. But, he's dancing with the angels, right? That famous quote that will become famous now, where he talked in Cohen's hearings about, when we're dancing with the angels, what we be able to say about what we did in 2019 to preserve democracy, something to that effect. He said it much better. But I suggest you look that one up on YouTube. There will be, that you just heard the Spirit just kind of speaking from his soul in that one. Well, I wanted to check in. Not that I think I'm going to hear from him. He's busy. I got a flash. I asked Spirit and my guides, what's going on with him right now. And I laughed because I saw him just wide-eyed in awe and wonder. Just like taking it all in, like he couldn't get enough of it, like he was like a young boy again in his spirit. So I love that. I love that. So he's probably focusing on that. But there a lot of times spirits, especially these great spirits, stick around for a while. And well, he's with his family too. Yeah. They can have 2 feet in both worlds. He's with his family too. They stick around and they spend time with family, but sometimes also they make themselves available. I feel like in a few days I might do a better job at doing a medium reading then. Make themselves available to help everyone. That sometimes some very evolved spirits can help a lot of people at once, and they have that much power flowing through. Not to say Elijah Cummings was perfect. Right away I'm hearing, I think I am hearing from him. Right away I'm hearing, no, I wasn't perfect. Now don't make me a god. No, okay. All right. Yeah, a lot of things made him angry when he was younger, but boy, he sure grew. All right, spirits, so what have you to say? All right, in the heart of the matter, it was time. It was time for him. The Wheel of Fortune. Simply that. It was the correct time. What's the clarifier? We have the challenge card is the Knight of Cups. Yeah, he was trying to... Oh, that's interesting. No, that wasn't him. Okay, so a lot of times on the left side of the reading, the Celtic cross, this is about before they passed. There was a challenge because I feel like there was somebody in his environment, a younger man, younger than himself anyway, younger, who was sort of manipulative, maybe trying. I feel like he was getting advice to have dishonest communications with the public about his condition and about how things were. Isn't that weird? Nothing horrible or anything like that. Just slick. And he didn't really do slick. So, yeah, I feel like there was a challenge there. Yeah, and maybe he was a bit concerned about how everything would be taken care of regarding his career. He knew he was going. He knew he was going for at least several days. I know he was in the hospital. I feel like whatever adverse event he'd had, yeah, and I believe his heart, he knew he was going, and he was at peace with it. He lingered several days because he wanted to make sure everybody else was going to be okay. And he was concerned about his legacy. And now I'm getting him laughing and saying how silly that is. because we're all part of the larger whole. It's not about any one of us as individuals, but he does care so much about his family and how they were going to be how they were going to be doing with this, and his friends, and his friends, and the country. So, and there was somebody in his environment in those last days that was concerning to him. Maybe not visiting him much at all, if any, maybe a little, but just somebody, who was in a position to sort of almost speak on his behalf, and he didn't. He was a little concerned. Not that this was a bad person, just did things differently than he did. A little concerned. Underneath it all. Okay, underneath it all. Death. Look at that, you guys. We get the death card. Death. Yeah, he knew it was it. He knew. Oh, and I feel this sense of tremendous relief in him, actually. Oh. He hadn't been feeling well for a while. He dealt with health issues. We do not know how much of a sacrifice it was for him to go to work every day. We have no idea. It was a huge cross to bear for him because he wasn't feeling good and he didn't have the energy. And everything in his body was telling him, this is time for you to be resting, not putting in 12 and 14-hour days at the Capitol, which he still did sometimes. So it was a tremendous sacrifice. He made it for us, though. And he tells me he's glad he did. There's nothing wrong with that. It was the right decision. So he had tremendous relief in a way when he knew he was going. He did not have fear about crossing over. He knew God. He knew God well. He knew God the way the closest family member, your closest friend, the way he knew his own heart. He knew God. So he had no worry about that. The only concern he had was for those he was leaving. It was hard for him to lay down responsibility. He spent so many years devoted. Behind, he had the hope, the star of hope. I feel like he's saying to us that there were some developments, though, that were making him hopeful before he passed. That's nice. Above it all, we have the Ace of Swords. He's going to be one of the ones, you guys. Okay, so that Ace of Swords we keep seeing, right? Truth, spirits offering people opportunity to tell the truth and to bring it out. And he is going to be part of that. But the truth he brought, he reminds me, the truth he brought was not hateful. It was not even judgmental. It was loving and compassionate, as well as extremely firm at times when necessary, but also loving, compassionate, wise, and peaceful, calm. Do you hear that bird behind me? Oh, beautiful. This is a good morning. All right. In the immediate future, we have the 10 of Cups. So that is, yeah. So as he was going, he was obviously very comforted by his family. He was in the bosom of his family. And there was a completion there. There was a fullness of love. And I feel like he did want to hang in there long enough for them to get used to the idea of him going, and for some to make it to his bedside also, that he needed them to make that trip, because for them, he knew I mean, he knew he could see them and be with them in spirit. He knew that would be true, but he needed them to come for them, so he hung around for a while. But he did feel such fullness of love. He says to me that when he was lingering and, one foot in the spirit world like that, he could, his heart was so full, he could have greater spiritual strength to bear the fullness of the love that he felt from them and for them. So there was a moment, obviously, of that for him. I mean, he tells me it's not like it was like that continually as he was preparing to go, but there was a big moment of that for him. Yeah, it lasted a while. Okay, at the root of the matter, we have the Knight of Swords. Okay. He's, yeah, this aggressiveness, he's very concerned about that. So even as he was passing, he was right away looking for how he can be helpful. He had a hard time laying down his responsibilities and his sense of obligation here on earth. But even as he was passing, he was thinking about ways he can help this terrible, aggressive speaking and arguing. And, you know, the swords figures are not known for their heart. They're known for being able to keep that all aside. So we have the King of Swords here too. And that is in the home environment, immediate environment. He's with the investigators. Queen of Wands, hopes and fears. He's with Nancy Pelosi and Democratic leaders who are trying to get to the bottom of these things. He's providing guidance. He didn't go too far from them. Right away, he was with them, talking to them, and he's comforting them too. But he's wanting to guide. He's finding he can still do this. And in his outcome, we have the Three of Wands, waiting for his ship to come in. Okay. So it's like he was doing these things before he even let himself really enter the fullness, of the glory. The clarifier, Seven of Wands. Okay, yeah, yep, he stood his ground. I feel like that's about, yeah, he resisted a bit. Um, not in a rebellious way, but he was, I feel like he was talking to the angels and saying, now I do want to, it's not time for me to completely run away with you yet. I want to do this. And the Ten of Swords. So that was also about the devastation. Hello, I'm back. I'm sorry, I was interrupted. So we'll keep going. I had pulled that Ten of Swords for the outcome, I remember. Yeah, this was his outcome card. The Three of Wands, waiting for that ship to come in, waiting to sort of enter the glory, as he would say. Yeah. And the Ten of Swords is sort of saying, okay, it's done. It's sort of saying, he did suffer a lot. He did suffer a lot. And I'm not even talking about physically, because he was very brave when it came to that stuff. But he just suffered a lot of misunderstanding. And, yeah, that is too bad. And verbal attacks. And that's right. And he was key in the civil rights movement. He was a key figure. That's right. So he suffered a lot. It's ended now. It's the completion card. That's it. He did stand his ground. Yeah, like I said, he wanted to communicate with some people here. Very concerned for his family. I keep getting that. Like he wanted to be with his family afterwards, and comforting them and letting them know that he was there. So he may have really been trying hard to do that. And, just letting him know that he's fine, he's safe, he's good, he feels more powerful. He feels more certain that he was correct about what he thought would happen after death. He feels, he feels, you know, he's good now. I think he will definitely be there for his funeral. He loves a lot of people. He loves his family, but he loves his colleagues. He loves his community. He loves a lot of people. So he will be around. And he will continue to guide our lawmakers. So I thank you, and thank you, Representative Cummings. Bye-bye.